Welcome to 3-Minute Testimonies, the series where we summarize biblical stories in under 3 minutes or less. The story of David and Goliath is known by many, young and old alike. Usually those telling the story focus on the size difference between the two combatants, and how with the Lord, the small can overcome the large challenges in life. The account of David and Goliath has a different life lesson for me. One about how the Lord can use the people whom is incompetent to do wonderful things. God uses the foolish to confound the wise, the weak to shame the strong. Samuel is grieving over Saul's rejection as king, when God informs him to go to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, to anoint a new king among his sons. Samuel does as the Lord commands and arrives in Bethlehem to meet with Jesse. When Samuel meets Jesse's first son, he is impressed by what he is seeing, but God tells Samuel not to judge by external appearance, for the Lord looks what's inside the heart. Samuel met with Jesse's sons one by one, but each time the Lord would reject him. After all of Jesse's 7 sons had passed before him, Samuel is confused. "Jesse, are these all of your children?" Jesse responds with, "Well, there is one more, but he takes care of the sheep." Jesse wasn't just saying that David was busy, he was suggesting that David could not be king because he's a good-for-nothing son, only good at taking care of the sheep. Jesse understood that one of his sons would be picked by God to become the next king and didn't even bother to get David. But the Lord had different plans, so Samuel asked Jesse to summon David. Not wanting to upset his guests, Jesse fetches David and the Lord instructs Samuel to anoint him as the new king. His brothers just stood there speechless as they watched Samuel anoint their good-for-nothing shepherd boy brother. Months later, when 3 of David's brothers are in the battlefield, they're at a stalemate with the Philistine army at the Valley of Elah. David is sent by his father to deliver bread and cheese to the troops as well as gather news on his brothers. As David arrives, he spots Goliath curse the name of God and the people of Israel. David is in shock and asks the troops why isn't anyone fighting back. David is immediately spotted by his oldest brother Eliab, who pulls him off to the side and scolds him. "Why are you down here? Where did you leave the sheep? I know you! You're skipping work hoping to see some action." King Saul hears of David's words and summons him with haste. David informs the king that he would slay the giant himself. Saul disregards David's courage due to his young age, but David insists he is capable and shares of his skill with a slingshot, how he triumphed over bears and lions. Saul agrees to let him go, but only after outfitting him with the best armor available, his own. David is unable to move under the weight of the armor, so he removes it, going off into battle with only his slingshot, pouch, and shepherd's rod. When Goliath spots David, he's immediately offended. David is a young boy, not a man of war. Goliath wanted to fight a true warrior. Instead, he gets the lonely shepherd. Goliath is so offended, he becomes infuriated. "Am I some sort of dog that you come at me with sticks? I accept your challenge, but when we're done, I will feed you to the birds." David, being full of the Spirit of the Lord, informs Goliath that he is fighting on behalf of God. David succeeds in knocking the giant and decapitates him using Goliath's own sword. The Philistine army flees at the sight of their champion's dead, and David parades around the battle camp holding up the giant's head. Where his family saw a good-for-nothing failure, God saw a king after his own heart. Where King Saul saw an experienced young man, God saw a warrior. Where Goliath saw an insult, God saw a worthy opponent. Even if the world is judging us based on looks or failures, God looks into our hearts. He has great plans for us if we just let him mold us in his hands. I'm Brother Eli, and I've testified in under 3 minutes.